Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the live hanging out and chilling out in New York City show, a Harlem special. Up here at like 100, up here at Hancock Place and Morningside Drive, and deep into Harlem. I'm here with my special guest, co-host Dywane Matson. Just say hi to the fans and audience.
Good evening, audience. Yes.
Now, our topic for today is: you should have enough salt to be half salty that fill the whole earth. Throughout time and space and time, just when you think that people is all too good, but there's always some other half of good people that's good, full of salt, that they have flavor all around the earth. Look at Laban. Laban was Rebecca's older brother. Laban was Rebecca's oldest brother, and he catered to Jacob, even when Jacob married his two daughters, Leah and Rachel. But Jacob loved Rachel, but Laban still treated him with good hospitality, with good greetings and good welcoming. Now, what's your input about part one, about Laban, about having salt in your life, having salt in your life to have flavor towards everybody?
Well, my input on that is you have to have more than enough salt. You know, you don't want to run out of salt, because when you run out of salt, then, you know, whatever you're eating is bland. It's the same thing with conversations. You know, you always have to leave some to save for conversations. You know, when you're striking up friendships and relationships, it's always good to save some for the next day. You know, that way you'll always have something to share with the other person, and vice versa.
That's well put, Dywane, buddy. Now, part two is about Jesus, where he spoke about the Beatitudes, about having salt of the earth, like Jesus has said in his preaching on the Mount of Beatitudes. He said, "Have salt on yourself. Make sure you have salt. Be well seasoned, when you know how seasoned with salt and conversation, when you know how to treat everybody. Because what good is it if you don't have salt? It can't be salt again. So have salt with each other and have salt with each other and everybody else." What's your input about part two, about having salt, and having salt and having a good flavor towards everybody, good flavor of conversation?
Well, again, you know, it's good to have just a little bit, not too much, not too little. You know, because if you have too much, then you give it away too soon. But if you don't have enough, then it's no good anyway. It gets thrown out. You know, same thing with relationships. You have to have just about the correct amount of salt.
That's
so
right,
that you
Dywane,
be able to relate to everybody, not just in the kingdom, but also outside the kingdom. That way, you'll also be able to bring those outside the church into the kingdom.
That's right. That's well put. Dywane, buddy. Now, part three of you should have enough salt. You should have enough salt so you can have flavor towards everybody around you. Is David, King David? He took Mephibosheth, a lame brother, a lame Israelite that was Saul's grandson, that was Jonathan's son, that he was lame in both feet. But luckily for him, he had a wife and he had a little kid that walks regular. One day, King David said to the servants, "Is there anybody from Saul's family I can show special accommodations and hospitality?" He said, "There's only one person, Saul's grandson, Mephibosheth. He was crippled in both legs." So David went to Mephibosheth and said, "Greetings, Mephibosheth. I'm willing to share a little bit of the lifestyles that I have of riches among you." Then Mephibosheth said, "Hey, who am I to be in a line in the same caste as you? I'm only but a dead dog." And then King David said, "Don't be far from it. I'm going to treat you equal, and you can sit at my table and eat all the time. And he sat at David's table for the rest of his life until he died. Now, what's your input about David and Mephibosheth in 2 Samuel?
Well, my input on that is you don't have too many folks that are in high positions that are willing to treat other people as people and not like secondhand trash. In television right now, you have a lot of folks that forget where they came from, and then they look down on other people, even their own families. So the thing is, it's good to be humble no matter what position you have, because sometimes if you become too high and mighty or get too big for your britches, your high position could be taken from you immediately.
That's
and a lot
right.
of times that happens.
Like my Bible talk leader that's amongst leaders, Irvin Rodriguez has told me, Anthony, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh. He reminds me every time when I get too much knowledge with understanding of the Bible, sometimes my head could get fat. I have to get deflated back to earth. Mm-hmm. Now, thanks a lot, Dywane, buddy. The last lesson is you should have enough salt. You should have enough salt to spread around the flavor for everybody. Is Lydia. Lydia got baptized in the book of Acts under Paul. Then because Lydia was a psychic, but Paul just broke her out of that and had her through like studies about the commandments and about Christ. And then he baptizes Lydia, and then Lydia said, if you consider me a believer, can you please come to my house so I can accommodate you and just treat you well and with hospitality? And fitting so Lydia did, and then Paul said that she persuaded us. Now, what do you have? What is your input about Lydia, and that was baptized under Paul from the book of Acts?
My input again is, not everybody is willing to take the attitude of Lydia, to become a hostess, for the female and a host for the male. Again, it's good to be humble. That way, other people can bring you up. Even those in your circle can speak well of you and not put you down or anything. So it's always good to be a humble servant, no matter what position you have. Because if you become too big for your britches, your high position could be snatched from you immediately, right? That's
what Irvin and Michelle Boy has reminded me every time when I get too much knowledge with understanding. Sometimes my head can get too big because I get all that knowledge with understanding, think I'm all that. But they said, Anthony, think with sober judgment. Do not have a big head when you get knowledge with understanding. Just use that to serve others. And that's what I have to learn from Irvin and Michelle Boyd. But now, the conclusion is this. Whenever you're in a social setting, do not be bitter. Do not have an attitude. Do not think you're all that. When you're in a social setting, always have your conversations seasoned with salt, with good flavor, so it can spread through everybody, so everybody can have an aroma of a good meal, like in a banquet. Now, as for in Hancock Place and Morningside Drive, Morningside Avenue, in Harlem and Manhattan, New York City, as for the live hanging out and chilling out for New York City show, a Harlem special, I'm your host, your most, Anthony minor preacher Anthony Walker, and my higher leg up apprentice, my apprentice, who's like a leader in his own right, Dywane Matson is my guest co-host. We're gonna say bye bye, so long. Other than that, time for a wrap.